So, bro, ever since I was little, I've always been that super shy guy. I remember this one time in class, the teacher comes up in front of the whole classroom and he's like, everyone, pull out a piece of paper. We're going to start writing. Younger me back then didn't have any paper on me at the time, so I had to ask this girl next to me. And I'm super terrified to ask her, I don't even know if she's gonna give me a piece of paper, but I managed to actually ask her, and she actually gives me a piece of paper. But as she's giving me the piece of paper, she has this really shocked facial expression on her. And I just look at her, I'm just like, dude, what's the matter? And she's just like, oh, I didn't even know that you spoke. And in that moment, I realized I was so shy that people in school didn't even know that I spoke. I was known in school for being the guy that didn't even speak. That's actually how shy that I was. So in this moment in my life, I realized that I had to become more social somehow. I wanted to be seen as attractive. I wanted to have more friends. But my problem is that I just did not know to have conversations. I've researched a ton of videos on how to become more confident, how to become more social. And some of the things that they teach us in these videos didn't really work for me. For example, using people's names in conversation, asking them a bunch of questions about themselves. This didn't even work for me because it was so unnatural, and I would just worry about everything that I would try to remember in that video. It wasn't until this one unique perspective that I took that actually worked for me. And this is something that's not necessarily really talked about when trying to become more social and confident. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you this one interesting thing that I've been doing to increase my social skills and connect with more people. All right, so the first thing you need to understand on what actually determines why the way we speak is the environment that we grew up in and the environment that we're currently in. Because, as humans, we're inherently visual creatures and we want to adapt to everything. This is why we have different language accents. This is why we have different cultures. If you're born in the Western culture in the West, you're going to act completely different than someone that's born in the East. And this is not something we necessarily decide. When we are born in a culture, we naturally want to adapt to it, so we're not seen as different. We all want to experience being liked by others, experiencing love. We don't want to be judged, so this is something that we do naturally. So we see and we hear things around us and we start acting like that and adapting to that naturally. Same thing goes with your social skills. If you are in an environment where there's constant interactions, people are constantly asking each other questions, you're going to adapt to that and act like that social environment. If you are in a social environment where there's not a lot of interactions, you're isolated, the people around you aren't really talking as much, you are going to naturally adapt to that and start being like that social situation. So if you're someone who has trouble conversating with other people, running out of things to say, not knowing exactly how to flow in a conversation with other people, chances are you were probably grown up in an environment where there was not a lot of social interaction, or you're currently in an environment where there's not a lot of social interaction. This is exactly why I grew up shy right from the get-go as soon as I was little, because in my experience, my parents came to the United States from other countries and things were hard. So the only thing they care about was working and having enough money to provide for our basic needs. They didn't ask me about how my day was. They weren't constantly asking me what my problems were. And as long as I respected them and did well in school, that was good enough for them. So since I grew up so many years with my parents barely talking to me, I adapted to this and I wasn't exposed to social skills. I wasn't exposed to questions when I was little. So once I got into school and saw people have conversations, I didn't know how to because I wasn't exposed to any of it. And I'm going to tell you how to fix all of that if you're in this situation. The thing that you're going to want to do to fix all of this is to watch a ton of TV shows. Now you might be thinking that this doesn't make sense, but let me tell you real quick because this might change your confidence and your social skills forever. I don't want you to watch a bunch of just regular TV shows. I specifically want you to watch a bunch of TV shows that are dialogue heavy and are extremely interactive. Here is how this is going to help you have better conversations. When you're constantly watching and hearing characters in TV shows, they're interacting with others, they're asking conversations, they're transitioning between conversations. Eventually, this is going to get to the point where you hear and see all of this and you're going to start acting like them. Just like a social environment, if you consume enough heavy interactive dialogue TV shows, you're going to adapt to those shows and you're going to start acting like those characters. Now you might be thinking right now, oh, I already watched a bunch of TV shows and I'm still shy. I can't have conversations with other people. This is exactly why I'm telling you that this does not work with every TV show. You want to focus on TV shows that are heavy dialogue and that are real life, because it's easier to relate and see and mimic someone who's actually real instead of like an anime character or an animal or any sort of sci-fi character or creature. Not action, not crime, not drama, because the problem with like action, crime, and drama shows, these focus more on either the violence, the emotions, or the silent mystery. Examples of heavy dialogue shows that I want you to watch would be Friends, How I Met Your Mother, The Office, and my all-time favorite right now, Suits. So these shows have lots of characters that are constantly interacting, constantly talking. And when you watch these for enough hours, this is pretty much like free social training. Your brain just picks up how these characters are talking, how to make a joke, the interactive dialogue that they introduce, transitioning between ideas, keeping conversations going. Eventually, your brain is going to remember the lines, the characters, the way these characters act in the TV shows, and you're going to start acting like them in conversation and mimicking them. Now, you might be thinking right now, oh, a TV show or a heavy dialogue movie wouldn't really affect me as much. It might seem a little unclear to you how TV shows and movies affect us and how it influences our actions. So I'm going to give you a personal example. In 2022, The Batman came out. This is the one where Robert Pattinson starred as the main Batman. And what made this Batman so different than the other Batman is that Bruce Wayne, or Batman in the movie, he didn't have this like playboy personality to him. He was more like this emo, broken Batman that still was a badass, and he still fought crime. This movie became extremely popular because it had like a dark, gritty style. It was realistic. And I remember after this movie came out, I saw a bunch of videos on TikTok of guys trying to be more like Batman, because Batman was kind of like this dark figure. He was kind of broken. It was kind of like this lone wolf motivational arc where you would wear all black clothes, you would put your hoodie up, and then go to the gym at night and have a crazy workout session, kind of just like what Batman would do. And after I saw this on TikTok and after I kept rewatching Batman, I started taking that stuff up too. I started wearing all black. I started being more nonchalant and more quiet to myself and doing more stuff at night because I was being influenced by this movie, because it was something that I remembered. It was a movie that stood out to me, and every single person was being influenced by it. So therefore, I was influenced by it as well. So hopefully now you can understand how TV shows and movies can influence the way we speak and the way we act. Another thing that helps me with watching TV shows is the witty humor that you can learn. My favorite show right now is Suits, and there's this guy named Harvey Specter. He is one of the most important people in the law firm. He's an attorney, and he has to dialogue with people. He has to argue with clients that are against him. And this guy is also a womanizer too, so he speaks with charisma. You know, the man has everything for him. And every time I watch Suits, I think about Harvey Specter. I think about his lines that he says when people try to argue with him. I say some of the lines that he uses when he tries to be smooth. And after watching him so many times in this Suit TV show, I start applying that in real life because I think about his character. I mimic him. His presence in the TV show makes me remember what he says. So if you're someone that struggles with making jokes, making humor, or finding ways to come back from an insult or someone joking with you, this is perfect. You're going to want to focus on heavy dialogue shows. Am I saying you should watch TV shows all day? No. But if you watch it with the right intention, if you manage your time while doing it, and if you pick up on some of the dialogue, the way that they act, the way these characters are constantly interacting with each other, you are going to adapt to this just like your social environment, and you're going to start picking up these things and using these things in your very own daily conversations. Watch these heavy dialogue shows, mimic characters, and this will 10 times your output when having social conversations. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.